Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the Prime Minister vows to take over the hill back from the PLP as the party holds its first rally since the election date was announced. The PLP prepares for Clifford Park tonight as it defends against claims it has no plan. And the Customs and Immigration protest is put on hold as the Industrial Tribunal steps in. All those stories and more straight ahead in the Bahamas tonight.
Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Kishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, the governing Free National Movement has outlined its goals for the development of the Bahamas over the next 5 years. Key among them are changes that will impact the economy and enhance the growth of family islands. And Prime Minister Ingram told an audience at the R.M. Bailey Park last evening that he wants to take back over the hill from the PLP. Our Shanique Miller has more from last evening's rally.
Now this is unbelievable. This is unthinkable. Wow! Look at the people!
FNM's unbridled in their support as the general election approaches. If the last 5 years are anything to go by, the Free National Movement's promise of another 5 years packed with even bigger and bolder plans to move the Bahamas forward while equipping the Bahamian people to live an improved quality of life already appears to be bearing fruit. This is Manifesto 2012 was released Thursday. Prime Minister Hubert Ingram says in its next term, his administration will be singularly focused on over-the-hill communities. How will this happen? Through a brand new urban gentrification fund.
On Monday of next week, we'll be downtown launching the Pompey Museum Square. And our next time, we will put in place the urban gentrification fund at the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation. This will help with the restoration of homes over the hill in historic areas over the hill.
This urban transformation and redevelopment, while already underway through the transformation that's part of the New Providence Road infrastructure project, will only intensify.
You ever hear the PLP, Perry Christie, or Bernard Nottage talking about over the hill? You ever hear them ask about anything for over the hill? Don't be no fool. Come with me over the hill. So over the hill, next week, I'll be taking a walk over the hill. Every week till election, I'll be in some area over the hill. Be on the watch. We got to walk over the hill because we want to take over the hill back from the PLP grip.
Now this focus on over the hill, as it's commonly referred to, includes economic opportunities through a venture not unique to other parts of the world. Prime Minister Ingram says it's long overdue in the Bahamas.
Just as we plan to create the Nassau Craft Market, we'll create a landmark native food market over the hill. When you travel around the world, there are often native markets where you can savor and try local foods. Why should Nassau, and especially over the hill, have a market like that? We begin plan to create the native food market in location over the hill. This will be one of the biggest urban development and economic empowerment projects over the hill since independence.
The focus on crime will only strengthen under an FNM administration. Mr. Ingram says he and his team will provide alternatives to lure young people away from that negative lifestyle. Even before projected next term, the work starts. And after the elections, Mr. Ingram says the FNM will introduce what he says will be some of the most comprehensive and social intervention programs aimed at reaching young people.
This Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, day after, several days from now, in keeping with the promise made at the launch of Volunteer Bahamas, we will deliver $1 million in cash grants to assist a number of urban outreach and youth programs. The grants will be made to groups here in New Providence, in Grand Bahama, and on various family islands. Because we understand that urban redevelopment requires social initiatives and economic development, we put in place a phased program of infrastructural renewal.
Prime Minister Ingram says while the PLP wants to deflect attention from its leadership, this election can be based on nothing else but bold, effective leadership with bold, serious vision.
Every successful team has seasoned team members and new talent. This is what your F&M is offering you. Seasoned leaders with vibrant new energy and talent that will help to take the Bahamas to the next level. The times are too serious, the challenge is too great to put the country back in the hands of the former government, which was the weakest, most incompetent government in an independent Bahamas. The Bahamas needs a delivery team, not a talking team.
Shanique Miller, ZNS News.
Well, last night, the Prime Minister also chided the opposition for not, up to this point, producing a manifesto for voters to see the party's plan for the next 5 years should it be successful.
I haven't seen a PLP election manifesto yet, have you? I guess they're still trying to figure out how many fake promises they can fit on the sheet of paper. And even they do figure it out, the Bahamian people are smart enough to know that it's all just a bunch more of Perry Gladstone Christie's $10 promises and penny ante action.
Now, over the past 5 years, the government has passed new legislation to transform technical and vocational training in the Bahamas while making the institution autonomous. Well, last evening, Prime Minister Ingram said even more focus will be placed on BTVI.
And so our plan is for BTVI to become the largest public-private sector training institution in Bahamian history, to train our people for a whole new world of opportunities and good paying jobs. For example, we need more Bahamians trained in ship repair and refurbishment, able to repair and refurbish our mail boats, our fishing boats, and even some of the world's largest cruise ships at our ship repair facility in Freeport. We need more Bahamians with skills to be engineers on these boats, skill in fisheries and aquaculture, as well as in areas like alternative energy. Certain academic qualifications should not be a barrier to those thousands of Bahamians who have the talent to succeed in so many areas of national life.
In defense of its plan, the PLP says it's been talking about its platform for almost a year now. This morning, the party released a statement on the release of the F&M's manifesto. The PLP says the F&M is hoping Bahamians will forget murders have doubled under Prime Minister Hubert Ingram, referring to July 2011 as the deadliest month in modern Bahamian history, with the largest number of homicides ever recorded in a one-month span. The PLP says the Prime Minister's response was to go on vacation, while the PLP leader Perry Christie had a different response, bringing together law enforcement experts, community leaders, and a new generation of PLP leaders to create Project Safe Bahamas. The PLP says it's been sharing this detailed plan with Bahamians since last summer. The PLP says it also held a job summit last year, unveiling dozens of new proposals to create jobs and expand the economy, including a plan focused specifically on the needs of Grand Bahama. With 36 murders already on the record books this year, and as crime continues to grip the nation, Executive Director of the Bahamas Against Crime, Reverend C.B. Moss, says instead of political parties addressing this and other issues, they're more focused on finger-pointing. Mr. Moss says no political party has demonstrated that it truly understands how this monster called crime can be beaten. He is not only demanding a national response, but is advising the government to partner with all stakeholders to fight crime. The Bahamas Against Crime Executive Director is challenging all political parties to not only hold a national summit on crime before the general elections on May 7th, but outline a master crime fighting plan. The Democratic National Alliance, DNA, last night released a condensed copy of the party's vision book 2012 and beyond. The DNA says since it was launched 11 months ago, it has been the party's intent to address the national issues head-on and be a participatory body which incorporates solutions. The party's vision book 2012 and beyond outlines its plans if elected as the next government of the Bahamas, also its efforts to amend the Constitution to limit the powers of the Prime Minister, limiting service to 2 terms and enacting legislation for a fixed election date. The DNA also pledges to enact legislation which allows members of Parliament to be recalled if a majority of their constituents is not pleased with their performance or representation. Well, still to come in the Bahamas tonight, the Industrial Tribunal steps into the customs and immigration dispute with the government. That story's after the break.